Hi, my name is David Fleming from the Disciples Ignited YouTube channel, where we're focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now, in this new series where we're studying the revival outpourings that have taken place throughout church history, yesterday we focused in on a great outpouring that took place in Europe from 1727 to about 1789. And more specifically, we studied about a great outpouring that took place at a place called Herrnhut, which means the Lord's Watch. It took place at Count Zinzendorf's estate, where people had converged trying to flee from religious persecution. That revival outpouring gave birth to a prayer meeting that literally lasted 24/7 for over 100 years. Now, concerning the revival movement in Great Britain at this time, as was mentioned earlier, the Pietist movement of the 17th century had done much to help the spiritual condition of the church in Europe. Unfortunately, by the beginning of the 18th century, the church in Great Britain had become spiritually cold due to, in large part, to the teachings that were birthed in the Age of Reason that took place around 1648 to 1789. Most people call it the Enlightenment. It was anything but the Enlightenment, but that's what they call it. Liberal theology was the norm, and worldliness had become predominant in the church at that time. But I want you to know, God was at work. Thankfully, the Lord raised up a remnant of revival leaders to help change the course of the church in Great Britain. Griffith Jones, often called the Morning Star of the Revival. What a title, praise God, the Morning Star of the Revival. Began to see revival outpourings in Wales as early as 1717. Now, his ministry of establishing schools throughout Wales to teach the people how to read the Bible in their own language was especially helpful in preparing the way for the mass revival that was about to appear later in Great Britain. Now, there were other leaders, such as Hal Harris, who began to experience revival outpourings in Wales in 1735. Harris was especially important because he was the one that influenced George Whitefield to start preaching in the field instead of preaching in the church. The masses of people that began to converge in the fields to hear George Whitefield is awesome. And we'll learn more about him in, I believe, tomorrow's video. So check back with us tomorrow, because there's so much to learn about this great revival outpouring that took place throughout Europe from 1727 to 1789. So we'll see you tomorrow.